So a question that I often get is, can I customize the weekly review? And I always answer without any hesitation, yes, you can. And I wanted to share with you a story of how I came to learn that you could customize the weekly review. And what happened was I was down in Boston attending a seminar that David Allen was delivering. And Catherine Allen was there, and she was the primary person that trained me to be a GTD coach. And there was an opportunity where I just had this question for her. And there was a break, and we were out in the hallway. And I said, Catherine, I got to talk to you. She goes like, what? And I said, it's my waiting for list. And she's like, what? And I said, it's out of control. I'm overwhelmed. I'm putting artificial due dates on it. So, we know that's not a best practice. There's some waiting fors that I want to review more often than others. And I'm just overwhelmed and I don't know what to do. She said without missing a beat, she's like, well, it sounds like you need more than one waiting for list. And I said to myself, and I probably said it out loud, like, what? You can have more than just one waiting for list? And then all of a sudden I had the blinding flash of the obvious, which is, oh, I can customize this to make it work for me. And I think that I was one of those coaches that I think was a little literal in the beginning. This is the way that you do it. And I learned very quickly about how to customize any part of the GTD methodology for a client, but still stay within the best practices. So I took that feedback and I went back home to Maine, and I ended up, I think at that point, having 3 waiting for lists. I think I created a waiting for clients to schedule, a waiting for inquiries, and just an ad hoc waiting for everything else. And all of a sudden I didn't feel overwhelmed. I felt more in control. I wasn't putting arbitrary due dates. And I think like the next day I had the weekly review scheduled, in one sitting on a Friday afternoon. And I said, wait a minute, I really need to really kind of step back here and take a look at how to make the weekly review, just like I made the waiting for list work better for me. How do I also make the weekly review work better for me? And one of the things about me and my kind of cognitive preferences is sometimes I don't shift with my thinking as easily as maybe some other people do. I think that there are plenty of people that do beautifully walking through the weekly review where they can switch the thinking between getting clear, which is kind of looking for the straggler emails and paper and kind of corralling that and doing a mind sweep, and getting the current section, which is cleaning up the actions list, the calendar, the projects list, any checklist, and then the get creative part, looking at your someday maybe. Well, I found for me that I didn't make such an easy shift. And so what I did, and I've been doing it, I think, for over 2 decades now, is I break up my weekly review, which is really time for me to reflect on parts of my life personally and professionally. And so for really a very long time now, I have a really beautiful rhythm of doing project reviews on its own, doing calendar reviews on its own, doing a someday maybe, which I only look at maybe every couple of weeks. So I look at that less frequently. I don't need to necessarily look at that weekly. I certainly get clear pretty much most days. But in the weekly review, I just get squeaky clear the day before I do my get current part. And then I do kind of a ground level review. Now, some people might think, geez, that's a lot of reviews. And doesn't it feel like you're spreading your review all throughout the week? Not for me. Maybe for you, and you need to, do a weekly review in a different way. But for me, that has always worked, to do it in little bite-sized reflecting time. So one of the best parts of my job is helping people figure out what is their best way to do their reflecting time, whether it's daily reflecting, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, annually. But most people are really needing to do that weekly review because there's just so much volume shift on the ground level, and sometimes even on the project level, but certainly on the ground level, that warrants to be able to really kind of unhook. And, as David says, you're kind of hugging the trees, all week, and this is a time to sit back and look at the forest.